wound that Jesus suffered was meant to produce intense agony, and the contributing cause of death were numerous. From the scourgings and being thrown on his back, the blood loss probably would continue throughout the crucifixion. The iron spikes were probably driven between the radius and the carpal, so between the two rows of the carpal bones. The nails in the wrist would make the possibility of a parochial injury great. The driven nerve would crush and sever the median nerve, sending excruciating bolts of fiery pain up both arms. The severed median nerve would result in the paralysis of a portion of a hand where contractions and the impalement of the various ligaments by the iron spikes might produce a claw-like grip. The iron spikes were driven into his feet by driving a spike through the first and second intermetatarsal space, just distal to the tarsometatarsal space. The weight of his body pulling down on the outstretched arms and shoulders would fix the muscles to cause multiple problems with breathing. Again, the cross was no small sacrifice. The onset of muscle cramps and contractions due to fatigue and hypocarbia would affect respirations even further. The entire weight of the body of the tarsus would produce seething pain, while the fiery bolts of pain are still coming from the damaged median nerves. Muscle cramps would add to the discomfort. Each breath became an agonizing experience that would eventually lead to asphyxia, when he was basically running out of air because of the pain, because of everything that he was going through. He couldn't even breathe, that he was basically choking. And then agony, I'm just talking about that the cross was no small sacrifice. Death by crucifixion was especially excruciating. By removing of the clothes of the person crucified, the open wounds from scourging were probably reopened. So I asked the doctor, what killed him? Doctor told me, what killed Christ if he went through all of this? And the doctor said he could have died of hypovolemic shock because of the incredible blood loss. He could have died of circulatory shock due to the pain and blood loss. He could have died of dehydration. He could have died of exhaustion asphyxia. He could have died of a painful periosteal injury derived from the nails. He could have died of hemohydrosis, or bloody sweat. He could have died of stress-induced arrhythmia. He could have died from the great emotional stress and great mental anguish. He could have died of cardiac rupture or acute heart failure. He could have died of cardiorespiratory failure. He could have died from the scourging, which led to contusions that would result in the cuts in the bones and subcutaneous tissue. But I will humbly submit to you, child of God, that none of these killed Jesus. He died for your sins and for mine. He literally wouldn't come down from the cross just to save himself, but he decided to die just to save you and me. This man who could have cursed the cross while it was still just a tree. This man who was hung up for our hang-ups. This man, the great I am, the same great I am from the book of John, the great I am who said before Abraham was, I am. This man who said that I am the light of the world. I am the bread of life. I am the door of the shepherd. I am the good shepherd. I am the resurrection and the life. I am the way, the truth, and the life. I am the true vine, and my Father is the husband. This man who came through 42 generations since Abraham. I'm still talking about that the cross was no small sacrifice. I went and I said, wow, it looked like the devil won this day. The enemy won this day because they sent Jesus to the cross. But then I thought about what Paul wrote in 1 Corinthians 1, verses 1 through 9. And it said, and I, brethren, when I came to you, I came not with excellency of speech or wisdom, declaring unto you the testimony of God. For I determined not to know anything among you save Jesus Christ and him crucified. And I was with you in weakness and in fear and in much trembling. Paul's not talking that I'm not all that a bag of chips. All I know is Christ and him crucified. And my speech and my preaching was not with enticing words of man's wisdom, but with demonstration of spirit and power. That I didn't come to you with eloquent words, but I came with knowing about the power of Christ's resurrection. Verse 5, that your faith should not stand in the wisdom of men, but in the power of God. Howbeit we speak wisdom among them that are perfect, yet not the wisdom of this world, nor of the princes of this world that come to naught. But we speak the wisdom of God in a mystery. That word mystery in the Greek is the word mysterion. It's a hidden knowledge. But we speak the wisdom of God in a mystery, even the hidden wisdom which God ordained before the world unto our glory, which none of the princes of this world knew. For had they known, they would not have crucified the Lord of glory. So just when they thought that they had put him down for the count, that they had won the day, that it was something they didn't know, that but that actually they were sealing their own faith, that he went to the cross. But how many of y'all know on this resurrection Sunday morning that we all know that he died, but how many of y'all know that he got back up again? That wasn't the only thing, that he has risen, that he didn't stay in the grave, that he conquered the grave, death, and hell, that he rose with all power in his hand, that if the grave can't hold him, literally nothing can hold our God. And going back, he said, which none of the princes of this world knew, for had they known it, they would not have crucified the Lord of glory. But as it is written, eye have not seen, nor ear heard, neither have entered into the heart of man the things which God has prepared for them that love him. I'm still talking right now about the cross was no small sacrifice, but the cross wasn't, it was everybody talking to the emblem of suffering and shame, but it's also a place of our victory, that Jesus conquered death, he conquered sin, he conquered all that would keep us less than, that he took the stain of sin from us. This same Jesus who went to the cross, Jesus, the Son of Man, this same Jesus, the Son of God, this same Jesus, the lily of the valley, this same Jesus, the bright and morning star, this Jesus, our Alpha and Omega, this Jesus, the first and the last, the beginning and the end, our Rose of Sharon, our conquering King, the fourth man in every fiery furnace that we face in life, our kinsman redeemer, our high priest, our pillar of cloud by day, our pillar of fire by night, the captain of our salvation, Jesus, our prophet like Moses, Jesus, our judge and lawgiver, Jesus, the rebuilder of the broken walls in our human lives, Jesus, our shepherd, our wisdom, our lover, the husband of the church, Jesus, our bridegroom, the prince of peace, the righteous branch, Jesus, who's mighty to save, our wheel in the middle of the wheel, Jesus, our baptizer in the